Clones for everyone! Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Today we're going to be diving into the surprisingly and ever-confusing world of Marvel's clones. There are so many clones to date, especially within the Spiderverse, and it seems that we get more and more added to the Marvel Universe every day. So join me as we wade through some to count down the top 10 strongest clones in Marvel Comics. And trust me, there are a ton to wade through. I'm up to my knees in clones, I'm telling you. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Carrion. Carrion is the clone of Miles Warren, aka the Jackal. After Jackal's apparent death, he was abandoned and as such continued to develop at an accelerated rate while in stasis. When he awoke, he was therefore kinda like a living corpse. Despite being twisted and kinda gross, Carrion for a brief moment in time appeared to be a powerful Spider-Man villain. Carrion was a superpowered version of the Jackal who possessed a kind of death touch, which allowed him to disintegrate organic matter, such as Peter's webbing. He also fought with a substance known as Crimson Dust, which could be used to knock out his opponents or give them acid-like burns. While appearing as a shambling corpse and only lasting a few issues, Carrion was a strangely powerful enemy. Number 9. Kane Parker. Definitely one of the weaker of the strong, but still, despite the fact that Kane had a degenerative disorder and was kind of a mess when he first hit the scene, he still got some pretty unique abilities that managed to make him pretty powerful. Also, just because you're kind of a broken clone in person doesn't mean that you can't also be powerful. Unique abilities that Kane came with are the Mark of Kane and his former precognitive version of Spider Sense. The Mark of Kane is an ability that allows him to burn others with the touch of his palm. In reality, this is actually the little hooks in his skin that allow him and other spider folks to wall crawl. But Kane's are a lot more intense basically, allowing him to burn his opponents with his touch or use his Mark of Kane to cut his hair, which would actually be a remarkably useful ability to have had over the past year or so. I have not had my hair cut in months personally. His Spidey sense used to give him precognitive visions which drove him mad, but also gave him glimpses into the future, a very different kind of Spidey sense. And friends, before we move on to our number 8 spot, just a quick reminder, if you love this list and you want to learn about even more Marvel clones, let us know by being sure to give this video a thumbs up and comment down below and let us know. Number 8. Moreland. Moreland was the only inheritor we know of to escape the fate of being turned into an adorable psychic vampire baby who would be raised to be good. He was once the leader of the inheritors and is known for being a deadly opponent of Peter Parker and basically all of the Spider-Verse. Initially, he and his fellow inheritors were defeated during the events of Spiderverse, but ultimately returned to Earth 616 after Genix, Moreland's brother, managed to hack into Otto Octavius's aka Superior Spider-Man's database and upload the souls of the villains who were currently trapped in Earth 3145 into Otto's spare clone bodies, granting them access again to the main continuity universe. Like the other inheritors, Moreland enjoys feeding on the life force energy of totems, which is why he generally preys on spider folk from across the multiverse who we'd come to learn in the comics were all connected via the Great Web due to their status as spider totems, changing the story of basically all of them really and making them into destined heroes in origins as opposed to accidental heroes. Moreland was temporarily depowered by Sin Eater who absorbed his powers, but after Sin Eater's death he got them back, so he's kinda right back up to the terrifying power levels that make him such a fearsome enemy and skilled hunter. Number 7. Wolverine. Laura Kinney currently goes by the alias of Wolverine, taking after her genetic old man, Logan, who is also currently Wolverine as well. You can never have too many Wolverines on Krakoa apparently. Typically though, we have come to know Laura under the alias of X-23, the codename she was given when she was produced as a weaponized clone version of the original Wolverine. Despite being a female clone of Wolverine, Laura is also thought of by Logan as his daughter. She was made using the genetic material of Wolverine and Sarah Kinney. Her mother was actually one of the scientists who was working hard to help Weapon X create a clone version of Logan so that they could repeat the adamantium bonding process, creating their own super soldier. Sarah was also punished for going along with creating a female clone against orders after all the male attempts had failed, and as such was made to be Laura's natural mother as well, having to carry the child to term in her own womb and giving birth to baby Laura herself. Laura's power levels are similar to Logan's, and she is also a highly experienced and trained fighter and assassin. Number 6. Scarlet Spider. Who could forget all the Spidey clones out there? After Clone Saga, I know I sure can't, and I don't think anyone else can either, because we got some genuinely awesome characters out of all that clone cloning that the Jackal did. One such fan favorite is Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider. Ben was at one point believed to be the original and Peter the copy in the comics, and for a time he actually returned to New York and led his life as Peter, with both thinking that he was the real Spider-Man. In the end, however, the truth came out after Ben sacrificed himself to save Peter Parker, and it was revealed that this confusion was all a part of an elaborate and villainous plot to ruin both Spider-Men's lives. Ben, however, would return after the Jackal collected his remains and brought him back to life. And that wouldn't be the last time he'd die and be resurrected either. Like the original, Ben happens to have immense strength and similar powers to that of Peter Parker. Ben is also known for having some intellectual and invention know-how, and for his stingers and his impact webbing. Number 5. Stepford Cuckoos. The Stepford Cuckoos are the genetically engineered clone daughters of Emma Frost. They were created using her genetic material and made to basically be 5 different versions of her. Together they share a hive mind and were initially created with the sole purpose of being used as a weapon by the Weapon Plus program. While Emma Frost was in a comatose state, John Sublime harvested over 1,000 eggs from her to experiment with and ultimately created the Stepford Cuckoos. While thousands of clones were created, only 5 were released into the world by Sublime and the Weapon Plus program. Their names, as we've come to know them, are Esme, Sophie, Celeste, Mindy, and Phoebe. Later on, 1, then 2 of the sisters would die, causing them to take up the team names 4-in-1 and then 3-in-1. Actually, Stepford Cuckoos wasn't a name that they originally wanted, it was one that was given to them by other people. They actually wanted to be known originally as 5-in-1, just didn't stick. With the resurrection protocol in effect on Krakoa though, the 2 sisters the Cuckoos had lost previously have now been brought back to life, and now all 5 are together again and residing on Krakoa. Number 4. Madeline Pryor. Some people continue to speculate on just how powerful Madeline Pryor really is, but I believe she should be on the same level as Jean Grey, in theory at least. Madeline Pryor is the clone of Jean Grey, despite the fact that every character seemed to dismiss their exact one-for-one appearance and similarity. Maddie would end up stealing Scott Summers' heart and become his wife after the death of Jean. I wonder what drew him to her. The two would live a somewhat happy married life, but only briefly. Eventually, Jean Grey returned back from the dead, or rather back from her comatose state, and Scott would choose to return to his hero life, unable to stay away with Jean back, abandoning his then wife and son. Madeline became intensely lonely and depressed in his absence, and when she learned of her true origins, that she was a clone of Jean, made using a piece of the Phoenix Force by Mr. Sinister, she broke. This psychotic break woke within her a power and dark side, which ultimately led her to transform into the villain that we'd come to know as the Goblin Queen. Number 3. Genesis. Genesis is more commonly known as Evan Sabiner, the clone of Apocalypse. He was created and raised by Phantom X in the world, raised to be good instead of evil, making Evan more a hero, where the older version of Apocalypse was of course usually a villain. When Archangel as the Horseman of Death attempted to rise up and take Apocalypse's place after his demise, Evan was then unleashed on the world, the secret of his existence revealed. He proved to be invaluable in that fight against Archangel, allowing Warren to be successfully defeated. Evan has all the power of Apocalypse, but is simply just younger than him, so the only thing he really lacks at this point is experience. It is believed his powers and strength will eventually come to at least match that of the original Apocalypse. He has the potential to have all the powers of Apocalypse, depending on, of course, his own evolutionary path. So he might end up with some different powers, who knows. Number 2. Strife. Of course, clones have to be evil generally, and Strife of course is no exception to that trope. He is the clone of Nathan Summers, aka Cable, who ended up becoming evil and at one point making a ton of people think that Cable himself was evil, as they didn't yet know about Strife's existence. Strife is a clone of Nathan who does not struggle with the TO virus, meaning he doesn't have to funnel power to fend it off. Strife was created as a clone of Nathan when it was uncertain if the techno-organic or TO virus might consume the child and possibly kill him. Strife, however, would later get his name and much of his personality from the mutant villain Apocalypse, who kidnapped him and raised him to become his weapon. Strife is an Omega level mutant. Number 1. Omega of the Thanosi. Omega was acknowledged as being the most terrifying clone of himself that Thanos had made. He belonged to the Thanosi and was made of the combined DNA of Thanos and Galactus. So in case you've ever wondered what it would be like if Thanos and Galactus had a baby, well, here you go. Omega, however, was rumored to be twice as strong as Galactus, with the addition of as much power and capability as Thanos. However, he wasn't believed to be quite as smart or crafty, thankfully. Still, after he got loose, it took took a pretty crazy team up to take him down that featured Thanos, Adam Warlock, Gamora, Pip, Doctor Strange, Moondragon, Spider-Man, and Janice Vell's Captain Marvel. That's a lot of people to take down one villain, I'm just saying. What are some of your favorite clones from Marvel? Who do you think has the most powerful clone? If there was a competition between these clones and the original character they were cloned from, who do you think would win? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. This is Top 10 Nerd, and I am your host, Amanda McKnight. Till next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.